Okay, welcome everyone to the Piano Cafe session. We have a very special guest here today, professional harpist and composer. We're very lucky to have her here to give a recital today for the Piano Cafe session, and we're lucky to be able to have a chat with her as well. Please welcome Lauren Scott. Thank you for coming, Lauren.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit, for people that don't know, a bit about your harp background, what experience you have and how long you've been doing that.
Well, I first saw a harp when I was aged 4 in a museum in Australia where I was living at the time. And I just decided that was it. I was going to play the harp, and I was just pestering my parents for years. I want to play the harp. Eventually, when my family moved back to England when I was 6, I then got a lever harp and started to play the harp. So my earliest memory has always been playing the harp. I've never known anything but just doing that, which is, I suppose, quite fortunate really, to always have that thing that you've known what you wanted to do throughout your life. So I went to study at Trinity College of Music in London, and I was in London I lived in London, so I did all my freelancing there in my early career, and then I moved up to Manchester, met my husband, and just been freelancing with all the orchestras around the country, based in the Northwest for about over 20 years.
So there has been a new venture recently, though, in that you've started to compose. And is that something I wanted to ask, is that, because this is really interesting to me, is that something that sort of came to you in a flash recently, or is it something you feel that built up within you over time, and now that you've suddenly just found a way to sort of tap into that?
I think it's a kind of meeting of a few different things. So first of all, I think it's about just my stage in life, in that I have children, they've kind of grown up and they kind of went off to university. So I felt that I had mental space of my own. And I think that is having that luxury of being able to think and not worrying about other people. That kind of opened up a chance for me to be creative. But actually, I always did want to do composing from a very early age. But I had quite a fearsome teacher, music teacher in London, and not harp teacher, musicianship teacher, who was very negative about my writing when I was a teenager, and she'd just said it was kind of sort of harpistic drivel, and that kind of really, I mean, obviously in education now you're all about encouraging students, but I think it was that kind of like trying to sort of make me do better, but in fact it had the opposite effect. It just closed everything down, and I thought, well, that avenue's never going to be for me, and I felt quite sort of shut down by that experience.
It's amazing how powerful those things can be at that age, but from teachers when they say
absolutely.
One thing. It's like, I remember somebody telling, a teacher telling me that he didn't like Mendelssohn, and for years I never listened to Mendelssohn. I thought it was because he thought it was awful, and actually I quite like Mendelssohn. It's all right. But those things stick with you, but especially when the things about your own personal development.
I think so, and obviously that's the style of teaching that there was back in the 80s as well, where I think you just don't do that now in education, and thank goodness for that, really. So that had always been dormant, and then 2 years ago it just kind of light bulb just went off, and I just started writing, and it was just something that once I started I couldn't stop, and I think my first year I wrote about 13 pieces, and then I just kept on, and it surprised me enormously.
Well, it's amazing, and it's taken you on a new journey with your harp now, isn't it? And I mean, what I was particularly impressed by was just like how you seem to hit the ground running with the composing. It's like you've been doing it a long time. The first time I heard a piece you'd written, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think obviously because I live with a composer, so I know what he does, and I really appreciate what he does. And also, it's just like any musician, you just hang around with good musicians. So although I haven't had composition lessons, I've been listening to amazing composers and musicians in my circle for all my professional life.
Do you feel that subconsciously that's been kind of feeding you all the way
I've
through?
been doing the learning all along, so that my first couple of pieces I was a bit tentative about doing them, but now I sort of feel. Actually, no, I feel a bit more secure in my own compositional skills now.
Talk a little bit about the harps, because I mean, obviously you said you first started lever harp, but then you also play concert harp as well. And for some people, I mean, many people will know the difference between the two harps, but many won't. Can you mind explaining briefly the difference?
So traditionally, this is a folk instrument.
This is the lever harp,
This is the lever harp, and it's used as a folk instrument. and it's the wrong way around, but essentially you've just got levers on it. Although not all of these smaller harps have levers, but essentially you've got a limited chromaticism that you can get with these harps, compared to these wonderful classical instruments, which are have the pedal, so they're fully chromatic. And obviously these are the instruments you have in orchestras. So this is the instrument that I have done all my freelancing career on. And then about 5 years ago, I decided that I wanted to go back to playing lever harp. I didn't have a lever harp. I had to commission this to be made. I then spent quite a bit of time customizing it, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it actually was. So I did a lot of restringing to it and got a drill out and re-drilled and reset the things. Anyway, it was a bit scary what I did with that harp, because I was taking a gamble, and it was all about trying to find a sound that I could hear in my head, but I couldn't find with various makes of harps. So with the customization, I think I managed to find the sound I wanted with that harp, and that's kind of fed into the composition. It was playing around with that instrument, hearing the sounds, that led to me writing the music. Yeah, it's interesting because I can sit behind the pedal harp and I feel really confident and secure. That's not a problem. I still stand behind my lever harp and feel like it's a different instrument. It's a new instrument, even though it's the same sort of thing. And it still feels very new and fresh playing that, which is a bit strange, but yeah.
But maybe that's also been a vehicle for the composition then as well, hasn't it? Absolutely. So all of my compositions have been on that, although I have now started writing for the pedal harp as well. And we're playing a duet for pedal harp and lever harp that I wrote for myself and Eleanor Turner. I'm delighted to be playing on the wall at the back there, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the composing. I mean, are there any things you particularly enjoy about writing for the harp?
I think it's just the sound world. I think the harp in itself, for me, is an orchestra of sound. It's not just one thing. I don't think you can really get that on any other instrument, where you can just get the variety of the sounds and the depth of sounds that you can, on one instrument.
Finally, bringing on to your CD, Beyond the Horizon, with all your compositions on. You're going to be playing some pieces from this today for us.
Yes, I'm going to play Celestial Spirals, which is one of my compositions, and I'm really pleased how that particular album came out from Abbey Records. I think they did a beautiful job in producing it with the artwork, and I'm looking forward to do a second album with them in autumn 2021. And we'll be recording the harp duo that Eleanor Turner and I are playing today. Sea of Stars will be on the second album.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to hearing you play solo and also the piece with Ellie today. So thank you very much for that, Lauren. Thank you very much, Lauren Scott, for coming and joining us at the Piano Cafe.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.